welcome. We're so glad you're here. It is kind of exciting. I we had three different rooms going in the Christmas cafe. It was so excited to see everyone. We're just so glad to just be connecting with everybody. It is a wonderful thing. Can we get an amen? I love that. I am just excited to be able to share with you a what we're calling a miracle story. I have recently met Teresa Grebeldinger. She lives in Pennsylvania, where I used to live, and she is just reached out to us. Her God is using First Place to transform her life, and we wanted to share that with you. So, without further ado, let me go ahead and cue up with you our friend Teresa.
Hello, I'm Teresa Grebeldinger, and this is my First Place for Health success story, November 2021. I am celebrating. God has made possible what I thought was impossible. Even though my early childhood through now has been a story of weight gains and losses, and even larger weight gains, I've now lost over 135 pounds from my top weight in 2019. I first attended First Place for Health decades ago, and at that time I remember learning that I had an unhealthy relationship with food. Many distractions crowded out the commitment to fully embrace the changes necessary. In 2018, I returned to First Place for Health event at Sandy Cove with my best friend. When I saw the video on the website, I did not recognize myself, and I was devastated. I remember leaving that weekend in disbelief that life could be different. I was working as hard as I could, trying to be as healthy as possible, even while working in the healthcare field. I had been living life in what I call the icks: panicked, hectic, frantic, even though I had success in my career and education, receiving a bachelor's, master's, and doctorate in nursing while single parenting. I worked in a career that cared for others. When my health began to deteriorate, I realized that I was not caring for myself well. In 2019, when I had started to experience new health challenges, I heard the same message that I'd heard all my life: lose weight. I had tried so many times, so many ways. Previously, I was an exercise equipment collector, a personal trainer accumulator, a gym membership user, a First Place member, a nutritionist utilizer, and I had tried so many eating plans. There is hope. In January 2020, I returned to First Place with my best friend in a virtual group. Thank you, Jen. Through First Place for Health, I've learned how to live differently. During this time, I had a job loss, family relationship stresses, financial struggles, and health concerns. Through each one, God is faithful. When I choose gratitude instead of grumpiness and praise instead of pity, I'm able to see the good that is happening. My delay in finding the next job has led to new skills and an active lifestyle on our homestead. Bargains at our local grocer of lettuce was just what I needed to eat more salads. The pain of family relationship challenges has increased my commitment to prayer, and my health concerns that I thought would be life-altering have led to life-giving commitment to wellness. I am still on the journey, at times afraid I will return to my previous weight and ways. Oh, so thankful for those around me and for the reminders in the Word of God that I am not the same as I was. In order to live differently, I have to believe differently. I have learned it is not how to get to a certain weight, as much as is who is my guide and Savior, in whom I trust to live a healthier life. My quiet time, prayer and praise, Bible studies, and scripture memory are life-sustaining. I have to eat differently. I've learned that there are foods that are delicious and healthy for me. Tracking has allowed me to see what foods work best for me. and helps me to choose foods that make me feel healthier instead of choosing to eat for comfort or celebrate or because it's time. Recently, I had an aha moment when I continued to struggle with wanting ice cream most every day. I had made substitutions and was eating smaller amounts. Although I'd made progress, I wasn't free. Then I remembered having my tonsils out as a child and the promise of as much ice cream as I could eat. I also remember the pain of swallowing and not being able to eat very much ice cream and enjoy it. I was wondering if I surrendered that idea of as much ice cream as I wanted, would that help me to let go of ice cream? I'm breaking free. I exercise differently. I am excited to be able to exercise outdoors each day and work outdoors. It's been so healthy for me. I love that I'm now able to horseback ride. I've learned that I need to think differently. Instead of berating myself for past choices, I choose to rely on God's grace and forgiveness. I choose to sing songs of praise and paint and knit and express my emotions healthfully. I see God working in my life, giving me opportunities to praise Him. I find joy in encouraging others that God is able to make possible what seems impossible to us. Be encouraged. There is hope. Do not give up and keep showing up. I am surrounded with a support team. Everyone in my First Place for Health groups are so kind. They have great ideas. They look and listen. Find what works for you. Let's keep sharing our victory story. Even if you too have had losses and gains, you have a victory story. You are here. You are listening. Share what you've learned. You have no idea if it will be what someone else needs to hear to keep going.
Isn't that awesome? I love that about Teresa. She is just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful example. And I'm just excited. She has a lot of experience in the health field. So she's her and I have been working out and not working out, but working together, looking for ways that she can help me. So that's awesome. We're always looking for volunteers. In fact, I just want to put a plug. We have a new giving back part of our website. So if you're interested in maybe volunteering to help us in different ways, go to our Give Back page. And if you click on the Giving Tuesday page, giving link, it'll take you to the Give Back page. And you can give back maybe a way that you could help us in different ways. Of course, it also has giving for donations and time and things like that. But really, we'd love for you to give back however you want. I think it's now time for a trivia question. And I actually have a poll that is a trivia question. And Vicky's actually came up with all our trivia questions. But here, I'm launching the poll. And the question is, what is the highest grossing Christmas movie of all time? And I actually had to go research this because Vicky had it, but I learned it was very cool. So, what is the highest grossing movie of all time? And so we're just looking, it looks like 40% of you. Come on, everybody. This is a fun one. No one's going to know what your answer is. But what is the highest grossing Christmas movie of all time? I'm going to just, 75% of you have done it, but I want you to know that, all right, I'm going to end the poll and I'm going to share the results. So here is what you all guessed. How's that look? You guessed this. And I want you to know that the answer is the lowest score, the highest grossing Christmas movie of all time. Right now, as crazy it is The Grinch. Who knew? I was sure it was Home Alone, but it was not. It was The Grinch. So just so you know, how's that? Pretty fun, huh?
John, can you let me in? Yeah, I'm like stuck. It says that you're not allowing me to come on with my video. Yay! I was starting to get my feelings hurt. Not really. I am so Yeah, I would get my feelings hurt. All right, here's another one. Describe the Grinch in 3 words. Let's see. In the chat. I bet my granddaughters could do this. Nobody's got it yet.
So there's an official answer, huh?
There's an official answer. Hey, Hensley, my granddaughters are here and they've been here like all day. They've been so good in the other room. Nope, the Grinch, how you describe the Grinch, stink, stank, stunk.
Okay.
I'll remember. Yeah, okay.
That's a good one. All right. We got a couple more minutes to go. So go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Give me another one. And we have a prize to give. We got some prizes to give away too.
Okay, in my cup, I've got my negnog. Is what my son used to call it, negnog. Mom, can we have some of that negnog? What was the first country that invented negnog? Some people call it eggnog. See if you know.
All right. Looks like one person knows for sure. The person that lives here hasn't answered. That's a hint, guys.
So Missy got it right. And it's Britain. That was the country that invented eggnog.
I saw Beth got it right too. Beth got it right too.
The country that made, oh, now this is a fun one. What Christmas activity became popular by the story Hansel and Gretel? Does anybody know that one?
What's that question again? What's
the Christmas activity that became popular from the story Hansel and Gretel?
Looks like people are, is this the answer?
Good job, Beth Thompson. She knows a lot. Gingerbread houses. Yes, that's exactly right. All right. Did you get the prizes?
Yes, I'm ready. I'm ready with the prize picture. I can share that now. Thank you, Vicki. And I do grace required on not having Vicki be able to show up. It's not good when your boss can't show up on the webinar. But that means Lisa couldn't show up either, or be shocked later. So we got a lot of really important people showing up. Got it. All right. So I'm going to share my screen with the winning pictures. Here you go. This is what we're giving away now. So am I doing this or are you doing this, Vicki? I don't know.
Oh, I can do it.
Thank you.
Right. The winners of the book, Coming Alive at the Cross. The winner is Barb Ankin from Hanahan, South Carolina.
Whoop, whoop.
Formerly of Edisto Island, South Carolina. The pink B-Shock Bling Bling hat goes to Debbie Beeling in Sugar Land, Texas. And finally, another book by Jen Han. I wish I could write like that many. Dateless, Not Dead, Living Alive in a Single Life. That goes to Linda Turner, all the way up in New York.
Awesome.
Awesome.
I do want to say extra special thank you to Jen and B-Shock for sharing their treasures with us for our gifts. That was awesome.
Yes, the giveaways. Everybody loves to get a prize. Oh my goodness. I mean, even if it's the smallest thing, we do love that. Lisa Lewis is such a gift to this ministry, not just because of everything she takes care of in our distribution center in Galveston, but the way she blesses us at our events. If you've been to Wellness Week, you know that she prepares delicious, beautiful food for us. So we're going to give a great virtual happy birthday, Jesus. Welcome to Lisa.
Hey, welcome to my kitchen. Yay. I love having people in the kitchen cooking with me, especially at Christmas time. So if you ever hesitate to ask people to help you to cook, we think we have to do it all. Definitely invite people in, even if they don't chop the way you do or mix the way you do, or I mean, you might just make a memory when Uncle Joey uses salt instead of sugar in the cookies. You know, y'all can tease him about that for years. So invite people in. It will bless you and it will bless them. So invite people to help you cook. All right, so I'm so glad you're here. We're going to make some recipes. And the first one we're going to make is a new way to make sweet potatoes. So, you know, we always make the kind, you have the kind with all the marshmallows on top, but this is a really simple recipe that has some great flavor of vanilla and a kick from some pepper. So let's get started. First, I'm going to take my sweet potato, and I like to cut when I'm cutting a sweet potato because they're so hard. You know, they're hard to cut. Is to cut it in half first. That gives me this nice stable base. And it keeps it from moving around. Your knife is not going to slip, and just cut it in half first and then cut it. You know, I've talked about knives on here before, but I wonder if you've ever noticed that some of your knives have a little dimple. Can you see that? Can y'all see that? Has these little dimples right here. And that's called a Granton edge. And that is just little, it's, you know how sometimes when you're cutting things and they stick to your knife, that just creates a little bit of space so they don't stick as much. And you'll usually see these on a chef's knife almost always. So if you're wondering what those are, if you've always wondered, that's what that's about. So we're going to cut these in bite-sized pieces, but you could do wedges, you know, like a Texas fry, if you know what that is, some kind of long wedge, that would work. Just whatever size you want to cut these works for this recipe. So I'm just chopping these. I'm just doing like a bite size, just a bite size cut. I'm gonna put them in my bowl over here. I've already got some cut. This is about 2 pounds of sweet potatoes and it serves 6. So if you're serving 12, just double it. Works great. And we're just gonna add a little olive oil. I'm adding about 2 tablespoons of olive oil for this. There's 1, and there's 2. And if you have any questions as we're going along, just put it in the chat. I'll try to watch that, or Helen will let me know if I miss a question. So definitely put your questions in the chat. All right, and then we're going to add a little salt. And I like to use kosher salt. You probably see that in some recipes. Kosher salt is a thicker grain. It's flakier, and it doesn't have iodine, which can sometimes add a little bitter note to your recipe. So I like to use kosher salt for just about everything. And table salt is a smaller grain. It's really compact. So when you put it in your recipe, it dissolves almost instantly. It's a lot easier to oversalt your food when you're using regular table salt. So I like to use that. Let me get the spoon here. And we're just going to toss this. And this is one of those recipes that you can make ahead. You can roast your vegetables the day before if you want to, and just put them in the fridge. You need to store them in an even layer. Don't dump them in a bowl in a big, pile. Put them in an even layer in a really closed container, an airtight container. So we're just going to toss these, get that olive oil and that salt all over those. Trying to watch if y'all have any questions. Oh, avocado oil, that would work well too. Perfect. Love it. Don't be afraid to change up a recipe because of what you have. Perfectly okay. Experiment. All right, got that good and tossed. Now I'm going to add a little bit of vanilla. And I'm using fresh vanilla, but you could also use the liquid, the extract if you wanted to. But you would want to use that at the end. You would want to do what I was talking about before. Prep it ahead of time, cook it, roast it, and then add your vanilla, and you'll see we'll add pepper in just a minute, and then cook it for the last 5 or 10 minutes with the vanilla. If you're using that extract and you bake it too long with that extract on there, it'll kind of get bitter. It won't have the same flavor that you're looking for. So I've got my vanilla bean, and I'm just going to make a slice lengthwise all the way down and just open this up. And then I'm going to take a spoon and just scrape out the center. Just going to scrape it right out. Scrape out all that good stuff and smell it. It smells so good when you have fresh vanilla. I just love it. All right, toss that in. And now we're going to add some pepper. And the recipe calls for a red chili pepper, which looks like this. You ever go to the grocery store and you see all these peppers and you're wondering, okay, which one's a red chili? Because they don't always say. They'll have names ancho, poblano, lots of different names, Thai. So if you're wondering, this is a red chili pepper. And they're usually from Fresno, generally. And I'm cutting this really small. You want just small pieces, seeds and all. And these red chili peppers, they rate the heat of peppers on what they call a Scoville scale. And red peppers are about 2,500 to 10,000 is their heat scale. Just in relation, a jalapeno is about 1,000 to 20,000. So 2,500 to 10,000, 1,000 to 20,000. So if you can kind of get that in your head, the mildest jalapeno is not as hot as the mildest Fresno. But these aren't super hot. You know, a jalapeno, when you get it, you never know what it's going to be. It could have no heat at all, or it could just be hot as fire. So you never know with the jalapeno. So you can, this won't, if you're one of those people who doesn't like a lot of heat, spice, a lot of hot, this just gives a little bit of kick. You just kind of taste it a little bit at the end. It's not super hot. Some of the other peppers you might see are maybe a red jalapeno. Have you ever seen a red jalapeno? Those are a little sweeter and they're hard to find. If you saw one, it was probably at a farmer's market or maybe at a Whole Foods if they had a local source for it. You don't usually see those unless you're growing them in your own garden. So, and then you might see a chipotle pepper. Have you ever heard of chipotle peppers? Probably have. You see those a lot nowadays in restaurants. And that's just a smoked jalapeno is what that is. All right, got this nice and chopped. Another pepper you might see is a red Thai pepper. And those are super hot. Don't get those unless you like hot, 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 just really hot stuff. Their Scoville scale, I think, goes up to 225,000. You know, we said a jalapeno was 20,000. The red Thai peppers go up to 225,000. So those are super, super hot. So you need to mix this really well because that vanilla, the fresh vanilla, will try to stick. So you just need to really mix it around well so it gets well throughout all of your sweet potatoes. So we're just mixing that. You can see that. There you go. Love that color, that nice orange color. Nice. Good exercise. Somebody's commenting on my biceps. Cooking is good exercise. Love it. Whoops, lost one. All right. Now we're just going to put this, you put it on a sheet pan. Something like this, you'll want an edge on it, not a flat cookie sheet. And we're going to put these in a single layer. So simple. Just a few ingredients, but you have that lovely fresh vanilla flavor and the little heat from the fresh pepper. It's really a great, this one's a little big, so I'm going to cut it. All right. Just got it in my pan and just put it in there just like that. Now, remember, if you were making it ahead, you would roast it without the vanilla and the pepper, roast those, put them in the fridge, and then on day of, you pull it out, mix in your vanilla and your pepper, and then just stick in the oven for another 5 or 10 minutes just to get them warm back up and let those flavors kind of mix. About 10 minutes probably the next day. All right. If you use it, like if you want to use, somebody asked if you use a spice pepper from a jar, you could use a crushed red pepper if you wanted to. That would work well in this. And just same way, just add it the same way you added the other pepper. That would work. All right, let me show you what we got. Do the miracle of live. I made some earlier. I love that nice caramelization on some of these, just soft. You have the sweetness of the sweet potato with a little bit of kick from the pepper, and you have the salt and the vanilla. Just a great, easy recipe that you can just make super quick. And that's what we need. We don't want another complicated recipe on our list for Christmas, just something easy. And it looks so pretty. I love it. All right. Good deal. All right. On to our next recipe. So the next thing we're going to make is a skinny version of a buffalo chicken dip. Have you ever had buffalo chicken? So another one with a little bit of spice, but that's how, you know, when you're not using a little fat, you want to add some flavor in other ways. So that's what we're doing here. Let me just get some of this olive oil off my hands. And I love to just look for ways to make a recipe lighter. And that's kind of what I've done with this one. So we're going to take, let me get my bowl. And I've got some low-fat cream cheese. This is that Neufchâtel. That's 30% lower in fat. Perfect cheese to use in any kind of recipe. I really don't use full-fat cream cheese for anything. About the only thing you need that for is cheesecake. But in dips and other recipes, the low-fat, you won't even tell the difference. It's perfect. All right. And the next thing I'm going to use is some low-fat plain Greek yogurt. This is about a cup. And all these recipes are going to be on our website after our event today. So if you're looking for the skinny buffalo chicken dip, you can find it on our website under the recipes tab. All right, this is about a cup. And this, as many of y'all know, you can use plain low-fat yogurt in place of sour cream. It's perfect. It kicks up the nutrition, has lots of other nutrients. So I love substituting this in a recipe. Just get this out. We're just looking for little ways, just little tweaks we can make to kind of lower the fat and calories. And these little changes to this recipe have lowered the fat and calories by about 50%. So that's a good deal without losing any of the good flavor. All right, next thing we're going to add is a half a cup of buffalo wing sauce. Now you can get this in your grocery store. You might have a recipe that you like to use. This one is Sweet Baby Ray's. So just whichever one you like will work in this recipe. I'm going to add that. All right, look at that color. Y'all see it? Woo! It's not as hot as it seems. All right, now we're going to add some spice. We're going to add a little onion powder. I'm going to add half a teaspoon. All right, a little garlic powder, about the same. Yummy. All right. And the other thing we're doing in this recipe is a lot of times you'll see cheddar, which is a really high fat cheese. I'm going to use part skim mozzarella in this. It gives it that nice cheesy that you get the strings when you pull the dip up. It's perfect. Love it. All right. That is about a cup of mozzarella. We're going to mix these. Use a whisk for this. Kind of mix that cream, and you want the cream cheese to be soft. So you want to leave it out for a little while before you start cooking this so it can soften up. Makes it a lot easier because you want this all mixed in really well. All right. So we've got lots of creaminess going on here. Love it. All right, got that all mixed up. All right, now I'm going to add just a quarter cup of blue cheese because this is buffalo chicken, right? You got to have blue cheese. Oh, somebody loves Philly cream cheese. Do they? Over in England, they love Philly cream cheese. That's interesting. Love that. Thanks, Missy. Giving us our England updates from across the pond. All right, add a little blue cheese. Now I'm going to add, this is 2 cups of chicken. You can use rotisserie chicken. You can use leftovers from the chicken you made the night before. Whatever you want to use works for this. I've just shredded 2 cups of chicken, cooked chicken. I'm going to fold these in instead of whisk. Come on. I don't want to come out of there. There we go. All right. 2 cups of chicken. Just going to fold that in so it's all mixed. Now we're going to cook this. You can cook this in an 8x8 glass pan or metal pan, or you can cook it in a cast iron skillet, which I've done too. And I love the cast iron skillet because you can serve it in that, and it gives it kind of a rustic fun. All right, got that all mixed. Y'all see that? Looks pretty good. Now I've sprayed this with cooking spray. I think I did actually. Doesn't look like I did. So you'll want to do that. So spray our pan. Whatever pan you're using, you're going to want to spray it. All right. Whoops. Now let's dump this in here. That's not a good cooking word. Dump doesn't sound too good. Let's pour. Let's fold it in. And this is a great dip for like Christmas Eve. Perfect. I'll talk about some serving. And you can make this up to this point and put it in your fridge and then cook it the next day. So another one that works well to make ahead. You just want to spread this out into an even layer. You're going to cook this at 350 for about 30 minutes. You want to get kind of golden on the top and it'll be bubbling around the edges. Perfect. Let's put this in. You can get my other one out. It's hot. There we go. All right. Whoops. I need that to show this to you. See how it's kind of golden on top? Gets a little, can y'all see that little crispy edge? And it's in the cast iron, so it's a nice, you can serve it just like this and be fine. It's got chicken, so you got your protein, you got your cheese, but just a lower fat version. And you could serve this with a tray of veggies, like just some carrots and some celery. It goes well with buffalo chicken, maybe some whole grain crackers or some low fat crackers. You can serve it with chips too, but if you want a lighter version alongside, this is perfect. Just a great recipe to take wherever you're going or serve at your own get together at your own house. So perfect. All right, y'all got any questions before we move on to our another recipe? This is a little hot. All right, cauliflower. Interesting. So where would you, I wonder, a vegetarian version without the chicken. You could use like the fake chicken, or you could use some veggies in there, a cauliflower or broccoli. Both of those would work great in this recipe. Now, if you're using frozen vegetables like frozen cauliflower or frozen broccoli, you'll want to cook them a little bit just to render some of that water out, and then squeeze them with paper towel or something. Get as much of the water out as you can, or it'll make your dish kind of soupy, and you don't want that. All right. Okay, somebody said something about Mr. Chicken. Oh, there we go. The comments are going by too fast. I can't see them. Missy, you're hilarious. The chicken knew he was going into a hot oven, so he didn't want to come out. Smart chicken. All right, next up, we're going to make a dessert. Always have to make a dessert because we can have dessert in first place. It's not what do they say? It's not what you eat between Thanksgiving and Christmas. It's what you eat between Christmas and Thanksgiving. So just everything in moderation. All right, let's make our cookies. So the next thing we're going to make is a fruitcake cookie. So hear me out. I know fruitcake gets a bad rap sometimes. People make a lot of jokes about it, but a fruitcake cookie, I think, is going to change your mind about fruitcake. This is just a wonderful cookie. It's got cinnamon. You can really smell the cinnamon when they're cooking. It's got bursts of different fruit flavors. We're going to use a lot of the same fruits that you use in a fruitcake. So let's give it a try. I'll show you how this works. All right. First thing we need is 2 cups of flour. And remember, when you're doing your flour, you don't want to just dig it in there and pack the flour down. It's better if you use a spoon or scoop a little and then level it with a knife. Y'all can see that. Just level it off with a knife. You don't want it packed in there. That will make your recipe just a little too dense. Whoops. All right, got 2 cups of flour. Now we're gonna have 1.5 teaspoon of baking powder. Just your typical cookie. It's a good cookie base. This probably sounds really familiar to you if you make cookies. Got your flour and your baking soda. We're gonna add a little bit of cornstarch, just 1.5 teaspoons. Whoops. There we go. Now our cinnamon, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. 1 Teaspoon of cinnamon right in there. And just a quarter of a teaspoon or a pinch of salt. And I'm using the kosher salt for this too, so it's perfect. Whisk and just mix that up. Get that all mixed up. All right. I left my butter in here. Here we go. I had to melt some butter. All right, we're gonna set this aside. Always, you probably see this a lot when you're making a bread or a cookie. You mix your dry ingredients and then your wet ingredients and then you add them. Because if you overbeat all that stuff, your cookie will be too dense or your cake will be too dense, won't be light and fluffy. So you want to do those two things separately usually. All right. Now for this, we're going to use 2 eggs. And you want your eggs to be room temperature. Typically, anytime you're baking anything, you want to use room temperature ingredients. We're used to just taking them right out of the fridge, but it's always better to use room temperature. All right. Now we're going to add our dried fruit. So, sorry, let me just add this butter real quick. We're just whisking the eggs, and this is 4 tablespoons of butter that I've melted and then cooled. You don't want to add it too hot if you've melted it and it's still hot. You want it to cool down enough, not that it hardens again, but just like it's not super hot. All right. Now we're going to put 2 teaspoons, or actually 4 teaspoons of vanilla. Here it is. That's a lot of vanilla, but you'll thank me for that. Vanilla just kicks up the sweetness without adding so much sugar. All right, 4 teaspoons of vanilla extract. All right. Good. Now we're going to add 3/4 cup of brown sugar. Already measured that out. I can get it out of my jar. If you have a favorite cookie recipe, tell us about it, especially for Christmas. We'd love to hear it. Apparently they love fruitcake in England. Fruitcake's either something you love or you don't like at all. That seems to be my experience. All right, you want this really well mixed. All right, now we're going to add it to our flour. You want to break up any brown sugar clumps. A lot of times your brown sugar can clump in the bag or wherever you store it. So break all those up in that stage we were just at with the butter and the eggs. Now we're mixing in our dry ingredient, our flour, just until it's combined. Not too much. Now, typically in a fruit cake, they use candied fruit, but we're going to switch that up a little for our cookies. Getting a little wild in here, throwing flour around. All right, got that nice and mixed. This is a really sticky dough. I'll tell you more about that in just a minute. All right, got that all mixed up. Now we're going to add our other ingredients. Now this is our fruit. And let me show you what I've done with that. Over here for just a second. We're going to use dried fruit for our fruit cake cookies. So I've basically just taken dried fruit. I'm using apricots, figs, cranberries, a little bit of mango that my friend Helen Barada brought me from Hawaii. Helen, I'm using your mango in these fruit cake cookies. And we're just going to chop these. You just want them in little bites. Just chop those up. I'll show you. You can see just little bites, and if y'all can see that well. So I'm just slicing it and then cutting it in little pieces, just a small dice. And you can use whatever fruit you want. You could use plums, or you could use raisins, or you could do dried blueberries. You can get dried blueberries. They have all kinds of dried fruit now in the grocery store. Just whatever fruit sounds good to you. And so what I've done is, and typically in a fruit cake, you would soak your candied fruit in brandy. So I soaked these in apple juice, but either works, whatever you like to do in the kitchen. And then you need to put them in the fridge for at least 30 minutes. The longer, however, you could put them in the day before if you wanted to. And just when you take those out, you'll need to put them on a paper towel or something to get most of the moisture out. So that's what I've done with these. These are my you can see my mangoes, got some good color. Have orange, have the purple or the red from the cranberries, lots of good color. And we're just gonna fold these in. They don't wanna come out either, Missy. They're going in the oven. All right, and you could add nuts. If you wanted to put some pecans in here, they would be great. And I like to up the amount of fruit. So we're doing 2 tablespoons of each of the 4 fruits that we're putting in here. You could do 3 or 4 if you wanted to just make it really fruity. And it would add a little more sweetness. These aren't a super sweet cookie. You just have that burst of fruit. It makes 36 cookies and we use 3/4 cup of brown sugar. So that tells you it's not super sweet. It's not a ton of sugar. All right. Oh, Missy starts soaking next year's Christmas cake fruit in July. Love that. All right, so just fold them in just until the fruit gets well mixed in there. And remember, I was talking about how this is a real sticky cookie. So you have to refrigerate this for at least 30 minutes. You could refrigerate it overnight if you wanted to, get it all done up to this step and then bake them the next day or the day of. Works perfect. So that just helps them not be so sticky. And you'll notice, have you ever made a cookie and it just spread out when it wasn't supposed to spread out? That usually means that your butter was too soft. Whatever your fat in there, it was just too soft. So if you stick them in the fridge for a little while, 30 minutes or so, and try again, they will stay together. They won't spread out. But maybe you like a thin, crispy cookies. I make an oatmeal cookie and half the people like it when it doesn't spread out and half like it when it spreads out because it has that nice crunchy, ring on the outside. It's perfect. So it's just perfect. And whatever your personal preference is. But this cookie needs to go in the fridge for about 30 minutes just to get them nice and set so you can actually get them onto the pan. All right. So once you put them in the fridge and let them cool, then you're going to take those out and just drop them in spoonfuls on a baking sheet. I like parchment paper. I use it for just tons of stuff. Everybody should have parchment paper in their kitchen so it doesn't mess up your pan. The cookies come off easily. They don't stick. So, and you'll bake those for about 11 to 13 minutes. When you take those out, they'll cook a little more after you take them out. So you don't need to cook them where they're really crispy. They'll cook a little bit more after they come out. So you let them sit 2 or 3 minutes and then they're ready to serve. All right, let me show you my cookies. Where did I put them? Oh, here they are. All right, y'all see these? I just love these because they have those nice bits of fruit in there. And it's almost like a little fruit cake. They have kind of a cakey texture, like a cake. And you'll get that burst of mango, then you'll get that burst of cranberry as you're eating. So it's a nice cookie that has so much variety, so much flavor. And you can even smell that cinnamon in it. Can you smell it? But you can smell it when it's cooking. You can smell it when you're eating it. It's just a wonderful cookie for Christmas. It really fits the season. All right, anybody have any questions? Yes, somebody buys huge rolls of parchment paper. Me too. We're all getting hungry mid-afternoon. These would be perfect with a cup of tea. After you get out of the party, you can have a cup of tea with your fruit cake cookies. All right, a cuppa. Helen Barada says a cuppa. Is that what they say in England, Missy? Or maybe they say in Pittsburgh. That's where Helen's from. I don't know if they say it in Hawaii, Helen. How about dinner? Yeah, dinner. We can have a cookie before dinner. You make the rules. Dinner's not the boss of you. No. Oh, Helen says it's on her favorite British show. So, Missy, we're learning a lot about y'all now that we're watching all these fun British shows. All right. Any questions about either the recipes we made here, the recipe that you're going to make at your Christmas table, or any recipes you want to share? Definitely tell us about those. You can use dates. Dates would be great. Dates would be perfect. How many cups of dried fruit? I use 2 tablespoons of 4 different fruits. So however that adds up. And like I said, if you want to add a little more, that's perfect. Whatever fruit you want.
Looks like the sun's going down in Edisto. Is the sun still shining in I don't know. Yeah, I don't
It is.
know.
I think we have another
Oh,
hour.
it's completely dark.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here. So I
Makes
had to
sense.
change the lighting. And I want y'all to meet Hadley May.
Hi, Hadley May.
This is so much about family. And you found the markers? Good job. Only on the erased board. Okay.
All right, Lisa, I think that the dried mango is a really good idea in those cookies. Think of that. People would definitely be in. I could get dried pineapple, dried mango. I could try to just make a tropical fruit cookie. I'm sure my husband might be able to be talked into that,
Yeah.
But I agree, the fruitcake does sound a little scary. But if you told people it was a tropical cookie, they would probably eat it. Yeah.
The tropical.
Just take that word cake off. It's a fruit cookie.
Yeah, I like it. I would even try and cut more sugar out, probably. That would just be me, but I would just keep cutting the sugar until I was like, okay, where is it that I miss the sugar desperately,
I always make the recipe the way they say because they've tried it. They set out the plan. I'm going to follow it. But then on the next batch, I'm like you, Helen, I'll reduce a little, see how it is, reduce it a little. But these aren't super sweet. They're really not.
And you could use whole wheat flour too, if you wanted to, I would
Definitely.
imagine.
You
Yeah.
definitely could.
Yeah. I like it. All right, Missy, I'm glad it's 10:30. It's 12:30 in Hawaii, noon, 12:30. It's 10:30 in Hawaii. So that's crazy. So that's awesome.